That's the way to do it. Well, Remco, first of all, thank you for taking the time to speak with me today. I know you're a busy guy. I still remember the first time we met at the team camp in Belgium in 2021, where you and your dad were the first two people to greet me at the team hotel. And you told me about your first Castelli memory of a Team Italia jersey. Do you remember where you got the jersey from? Did your dad give it to you, or?
We actually were on holiday at Lago di Garda and in the north, in Riva. And as we were in Italy riding the mountain bike a bit, we were just walking near the shops, and I saw that beautiful jersey. And I'm not sure, but I think I wanted to be like Bettini, with the Italian stripes. And I was like, yeah, I really need this jersey. And it was like the flags were green, white, red, and then red pants. So it was like a super bright jersey. You could see it from far away. And like when I saw it, I really wanted it immediately. Accidentally, it wasn't a Castelli's jersey and the pants as well. So it was good quality immediately. And my dad said, "Oh, it's a high quality shirt. Do you really need it?" And I said, "Yeah, I want it. It's beautiful. I want it." And that's the first Castelli shirt and dip shorts that I wrote.
Oh, that's a great memory of your first Castelli kit, la maglia azzurra della squadra nazionale italiana. Hey, with your dad as a former professional cyclist, did he have any influence on your transition from football to cycling, or was it a natural transition for you?
No, actually not at all, because I actually already decided before I even spoke with him. So he had no choice to just accept it and let me do what I wanted to do and let me have fun. So he had no influence at all, no.
You switched to cycling in 2017, and only a year later, in 2018, you did the double at the Junior Road World Championship in Innsbruck, Austria, by winning the time trial and road race. Did you already knew you had a talent for cycling and endurance sports?
I knew that I was born with a talent for like endurance sports, because when I was playing football as well, we had to do like some tests and some running tests, and I wasn't really good in the explosive sprinting tests, but at like running, it was like a CD playing, and like there was always like a kind of a beep, so a sound, and it went like faster and faster, and we had to run from cone to cone. So it was like in a big circle, and we had to like, every beep we had to arrive at the next cone. And yeah, since I was like 13, 14, 15, I was always the best in the whole youth categories in this test. And I think still now my record is standing. So already back then we knew that I had the talent to do like endurance sports and something for a long distance and an effort over a long period of time.
Coming from football and being new to the cycling sport, where did your road bike handling skills, like taking corners, being aero and flexible, where did all that come from so quickly?
Yeah, to be honest, I had to work on this because even going into the juniors, it was already quite okay. But then going to the professional bunch, it was a bit more difficult, because I wasn't really used to take corners and go on a really high speed inside of a bunch, like really in the middle of the bunch. So I had to adapt myself a bit more and try to learn it. But yeah, I'm a guy, if I want something, I will do everything to learn it as fast as possible. And I think that has been the same with my bike handling. Same for the aero position, for example. I've always been quite flexible in my hemis and in the adductors everywhere. So I think it's also a kind of a talent that I've been born with. But since we knew that it's quite of a strong point of mine, I've been really focusing a lot more on it and really trying to make my strong points even better. And yeah, for sure, when you're a pro cyclist, you need to handle your bike very well, because so many situations can pop up and you don't know how to react. And that's where the bike handling skills. And it took me quite a while to get into that rhythm of taking corners and just letting the bike go with the flow, and in the end, everything, when you want it, everything can happen,
I remember you mentioning the first time we met in person at the team camp in 2021 that your big goal when turning pro was to win the Liège-Bastogne-Liège, a Grand Tour and the World Championships one day. Now everything happened in one season. Can you put some words on what went into the preparation, physically and mentally?
You know, when you start to think about it in a way, when you talk about it with people like we are doing now, then I really kind of realized that it was a very special year, that it wasn't a normal year. So my big goal was really to try and win Liège because I knew I had that in me. Then the Grand Tour was more kind of a discovering to see where can I go on that aspect of cycling. And I knew already since the start of the season that I was going from the Vuelta straight to the Worlds. And actually my goal there was to try and become world champion on the time trial. But then during the Vuelta we've been talking a bit and discussing about the approach towards the TT, and we just needed to be lucky to have a fresh day, to have fresh legs and just that super day on the TT to do a good result. In the end I had a really good day, but then yeah, just two guys were better, so that's how cycling goes sometimes. But I think just overall the season has been yeah, perfect. There have been again some up and downs, but I think that's in every rider's season. But I think overall it was a perfect season, and just to achieve my three big dreams in 1 year, that's just like incredible. And you know, becoming world champion on such a young age takes, I'm not gonna say it's with pressure, but it takes the pressure off, because it's a goal that I achieved quite early in my career, so it's something that I don't have to hunt anymore for. Now a big dream can be to become 2 times world champion, 3 times or even more, but like the stripes on the arm will be there forever. So that's already something that I'm not gonna say forget, but kind of let on the side to focus more on my big dream together with the team is to win the 3 of the Grand Tours. So yeah, I think achieving that World Championship title gives some space to focus more on the Grand Tour dream.
The way you won your first monument and the Road World Championships was similar. Like, if you look at the way you attacked, you knew you were the strongest. I remember before coming to the team as sponsor with Castelli, Kasper Askren telling me that you don't want to give Remco 2 meters because then he's gone and you're never going to get back up to him. I mean, you have that power and that excellency, which sometimes reminds me of Fabian Cancellara, who actually also once was quoted saying, you can only do 1 move. You don't have the power for 2 moves. So when you do it properly. Your teammates, staff and other partners of the team, and what I've experienced myself, say that you're such a humble and nice person, a real gentleman. Frey, the Sonnier, told me that you sometimes go for a run with them in the morning before breakfast and your training ride. Actually, I saw on your Strava profile that you went for a 7K with the guys this morning. If you're going again tomorrow, I might be joining the group.
Yeah, probably I will, yeah.
It's great to see that you're such an open person and it's not all about eat, sleep and cycle for you. It's more than that. But how do you deal with the high pressure or stress and still manage to remain calm?
It's something that has changed since the crash actually, because before that I couldn't really handle the pressure. I was also still 2-3 years younger than I am now, so you take experience in life and you just grow mentally. But the thing is, I just feel myself, the less negative energy I show or spend, I just feel that all that negative energy turns into positive energy and that I can use to have a conversation or on my bike. For example, like in the Vuelta, a lot of the times the journalists were telling me, oh, you take so much time, really, thank you, we're so grateful. But then I was thinking by myself and talking with the 2 soigneurs that drove me to the hotel, like, why shouldn't I answer? Because if I would start to be angry or be frustrated, I'm just gonna lose energy that I will need tomorrow to perform or to try and win the race. So that's something that has changed in my way of thinking. And also the example you gave from the run this morning, it's more like those guys just do everything for us, and they did everything for me in the last years already, but for sure, like, I mean, especially the summer was really crazy because like in the Vuelta we really had that dream to step on the podium and why not try to win. And we had like kind of a whole plan for the 3 weeks, and just before the race started, the week we were in Holland before the start, I've been talking with everybody and just saying, look, this should be like this, then we tried this, and you know, just trying to put everything on the rails, you know. And those guys just did amazing efforts for that, and then it's just kind of a thank you, because you can give presents or I don't know what, you can give money or whatever, but I prefer to do it in a kind of a friendship way, that you do things with them, like really small things, like the run in the morning and just have a talk. Yeah, exactly, because I think in life sometimes we forget about the small things, the small details, and those things will always keep in their mind, no matter what situation I'm in. So it's just more the way that I want to thank them. And
yeah, that's a good way to express your appreciation and friendship. Looking ahead of the 2023 season, and before talking about the Giro d'Italia, where Castelli is the official technical sponsor of the Maglia Rosa, I would like to know if you're planning to defend your Liège-Bastogne-Liège title wearing the rainbow jersey.
Yeah, that's the plan. So normally there were no classics planned, but I think as a world champion, the Monument or one of my favorite races, and as a defending champion, I really should go and try to win again, or just represent the race that I won last year. That has opened so many perspectives for me. I think it's something to look forward to, and it's a bit the same approach like we did in the Vuelta last year. So one big race before the Grand Tour, so a long preparation towards it, then one good hard race, hopefully with the same result as last year, with fresh legs, and then going to the Giro. I think it should be, let's say, 99.9% of the same approach like we had for the Vuelta. So if everything goes well, if I stay healthy, if the training will go well, then everything should be quite okay. But you never know what happens in racing or in training. So
you already have the eye on the ball. I saw that you've been in Italy last week scouting out some of the early stages of the race. I think like the first 5 stages.
Yeah, we actually did 6, but one we did with the car, because we did a recon of the Napoli stage in the morning, and then we had to drive to Melfi, where we slept to do the Lago Laceno stage. So there's a stage finishing in Melfi, so we did the last 60k with the car. So actually we did 6 on 4 days, which is quite an impressive.
Did you recon the second time trial stage in bad weather? Because I know in our corner of Italy it was raining hard that day.
Yeah, it was raining. So I mean, it was raining for the first 20-30 minutes. Then after that it was not raining anymore, but the roads were of course like super wet and dirty. It wasn't super cold, you know. I had my my good rain clothes on, so it's actually quite impressive how the Castelli winter clothing really keep you warm, actually, because I was a guy, I was never training in the rain, never going out when it was like, let's say, around 5 degrees, and now in Italy I've been training every day in 5 degrees, so it says that the Castelli clothes are quite good in the cold conditions.
If you had to pick one product from your Castelli cycling clothing arsenal that really stands out to you and makes your job training or racing that little bit easier, which one would it be?
There are more, actually, yeah.
Well, then
like
name 3 products.
3?
Yeah.
Okay, like the bibs for the rain, like the thick material.
The Nanoflex Pro bibs.
Those are amazing. Then it's also going to be, yeah, for sure, all the rain jackets, actually. And I remember last year in December training in Belgium in 2 degrees with the super thick vest. So those 3 are, yeah, I mean, it's just so many. I just cannot say 3, you know. Actually, the whole winter collection / rainy collection, they really make riding the bike in bad conditions quite, I'm not gonna say easy, but it makes it more fun, because you know you're gonna get wet, you're gonna the bike is going to be dirty, but at least you're going to stay warm. And you always get a bit wet, you know, because when it rains, when the roads are wet, it's normal that you get a bit wet. But if you can really like control the amount of rain going into the shoe, or like the wetness of the sock, then yeah, it's such a big difference.
Yeah, it makes a huge difference.
Yeah, exactly.
But then you also have the summer kit that we were talking about yesterday, like the Superleggera bibs, Climbers jersey, Sanremo, or the BTW speed suit.
Yeah.
Well, talking about suits for road racing, are you more of an aero speed suit guy, or do you prefer a jersey with matching bib shorts?
It actually depends, you know, because for example in the Vuelta I had no choice. I had to ride the bibs and the jersey, so but I think, yeah, if it's, for example, Liège I did in my BTW suit, San Sebastian I did in the Superleggera suit. So when it's classic days I will always wear a suit, but then for example in Tour de Suisse I remember having 2 super hard mountain stages, finishing like on a 20k climb on the summit. Then I was using just my Superleggera suit and also the Superleggera jersey, so just a combination of bibs and jersey, because sometimes when you climb, for sure you need a bit more comfort, you know. But I think with the Superleggera suit is something that I've actually discovered in San Sebastian, and in the Vuelta, the first days, not wearing the red jersey, I've always been wearing the Superleggera suit, because I think it's just, it makes it a bit more easy to have like one suit, you know, and it makes the feeling of climbing a bit more comfortable as well. It doesn't like kind of pull you back again when you're climbing. So just wearing the suit is like you just have a jersey without anything under, so it makes it a bit more comfortable to climb. And also I really like to have like at least pressure as possible around the chest and my around the area of the heart actually. So I think that's why the suits are. Yeah, I think in the second part of the year I've more become a suit guy.
Yeah, no, it's great to hear that you're more of an aero suit guy, especially in one-day races or classics. When the race speed is high, there are huge aero gains and watt savings when using the BTW or the Sanremo speed suit.
Yeah, because I remember the presentation we had that they said that the temperature, I mean the optimal temperature was like around 15 degrees for the BTW suit, and like Liège was exactly 15 degrees. A bit cold in the morning, so I just put the Perfetto on top, and then halfway the course took everything off, and then it was time for the final. So then I wasn't cold anymore, because you know it's quite a warm suit as well, so in a bit, let's say the mid temperatures, it's really a perfect suit to have. And I think for the spring classics, when you're a bit lucky with the weather, you can use it every race.
Hey, let's go back and talk more about the Giro d'Italia and the Castelli Maglia Rosa. The 3 TT stages will definitely play to your strength, but what other key stages will be important and make a difference in the GC?
I think already stage 4 will be very important, because that's Lago Laceno, and we've did a reckon on this climb, which is super hard for the last 3k. But yeah, as the Giro of this year is known for a lot of time trial kilometers, I think the first and the 9th stage will be very important as well, for sure for myself, because I know those are the days that I should try to take some advantage on the other GC guys. But I think for the first week, so it will be stage 1, 4, maybe 7 and 9. So the Gran Sasso stage as well, which is always, yeah, it's a high mountain, so if you have a bad day there, you really can be in trouble. Then we have the second week where we go to Crans-Montana, which can also be a pretty special day because it's super high mountains. Not a very technical course, because it's, if I'm not wrong, that's more towards Swiss. So that should be more a kind of a Tour de Suisse mountain stage. And then we have also the Bergamo stage, which is always special because it's the course of Lombardia. So it will be hard, but I think in a Grand Tour this stage can more be like a breakaway stage. So I think the stage of Crans-Montana will be more important than Bergamo. And then in the last week it's all gonna be queen stages, you know. It's if I'm not wrong, we will go over the finish on Tre Cime. This will be I think that's the Queen stage, the official Queen stage. So for sure, Queen stage is always important. And I think also the stage of Zoldo Alto will be very, very important. But then also the one of Bondone. So, you know, it's 3 very hard mountain stages in the last week. And then the TT on stage 20, which, which is counted as TT kilometers, but I think it's more, it's more a bit like a mountain stage, you know. It's the last day, so everybody will be super tired, and then it's only 11K of mostly flat, and then we go up for 8K at 12%. So I think you just need to try and keep the legs as fresh as possible for stage 19 and 20, because I think so many things can happen there. But I think, as I mentioned, it's every week has their important stages, and you just in the Giro you need to be awake every day, because if you're not awake for let's say 30 minutes, your GC dreams can maybe be over. So, but I know the stages that are very important.
Do we plan to recon any of the epic mountain stages of the last week? I mean, we already pointed them out: Monte Bondone, Zoldo Alto, and Tre Cime di Lavaredo. All epic climbs that we know really well, since the Castelli headquarters is nearby and we ride those mountains in summertime.
Yeah, normally we will, because I think if I can see the mountain stages that I just mentioned, I think it's gonna be 5. We plan to do a recon of 5 more mountain stages. So yeah, even if the weather is not that good, I think, let's say by the month of January, February, maybe the roads will be open again. So yeah, that's why we need some warm clothes, and I'm lucky to have a good clothing sponsor which can help me with that. So no, but I really want to go and see the crucial stages of the 2nd and the 3rd week, because then I think I will have seen all important stages of the Giro, which would kind of make me give a relaxed feeling, because then I will have the feeling that I'm like 100% prepared for what's coming. And then it's all about the training and the shape that has to be really good, no?
You already demonstrated in the 2022 season that you can perform on an impressive high level in any situation and gradient. The Tre Cime di Lavaredo has a maximum gradient close to 20% with an average of 8.7%. But you dropped your main competition on that grueling final ascent during the Vuelta up to Les Praderas to increase your lead at the Vuelta. I think you surprised most of the cycling world that day, but also showed that you are unbeatable on a good day.
Yeah, exactly. That's actually also a stage that I surprised myself a bit, because you know, when you get dropped a few times on steeper climbs earlier in the season, you think like, oh, maybe this is not my thing, so I might be in trouble on those stages in Grand Tours or in other races. But then, like I mentioned before, I'm the type of guy, if I know that something has to be better, I will work so hard on it that it's going to be one of my strongest points. And I think that was the case with the steep climbing. I've been training in Livigno for 3 weeks, and I did Mortirolo a few times, so I can tell you, riding up Mortirolo for 3-4 times straight away is not so nice. So I think, yeah, just working on it really makes it happen, or makes it possible. So and it's going to be the case again for the Giro. But yeah, like, I think it's just important to work on the weak points, because if you want to win a Grand Tour, you need to be like, let's say, overall you need to be able to handle every aspect of cycling. So you need to climb well, you need a good time trial, and you need a good descent, because if one of those 3 are not good, you will not be able to finish high in the GC. So I think that's why I maybe made for the Grand Tour, is because I really want to work on every aspect of riding the bike and of cycling, and maybe that's a bit my luck that I'm so crazy to work so hard on weaker points. But I think it also, let's say, forms the beast, no?
Oh yeah, no, you're completely right. The big victories just don't happen overnight. They're usually the culmination of hundreds of smaller everyday wins that mold and shape you into a stronger and faster and better cyclist. Tell me who you see as your biggest GC contenders for the Castelli Maglia Rosa. I mean, Primož Roglič and Geraint Thomas have already announced their participation at the Giro d'Italia.
For sure these two. I mean, Geraint won the Tour and Primoz won the Vuelta 3 times back to back. So and I've had some nice duels with him in the last Vuelta. Unfortunately, he crashed out. But for sure, with the TT kilometers and the type of climbs they will be present as well, they will perform well. So I think those two will be maybe even the main favorites to win the race. So yeah, let's hope that there are some more nice and big names coming.
As you know, cycling is one of the most popular sports in Italy. No other country has won the World Cycling Championship more than Italy. And it's not always the riders or the landscapes that makes the Giro d'Italia unique. It's the iconic climbs and the fans, the tifosi, the thousands of people who bring the race to life. There's an atmosphere unlike anything else. Is this also how you see it?
Yeah, and I think you feel it the most when you're riding up the climbs. You know, in the mountains, it's then you know, like a lot of Italian mountains are really historical and like kind of legendary even. So yeah, it's just, you know, it's kind of a lifestyle in Italy. You know, just for example, riding up the mountains, you can see a valley. You just know. The Giro 2015 has passed here. You know, it's like mountains like Stelvio, Mortirolo, Tre Cime. You know, these climbs, you know it just even when you're not in cycling or when you're not involved in any part of cycling. You just know, for example, the Stelvio, because who doesn't know Stelvio? It's like Mont Ventoux, for example. I think Stelvio is the most famous climb and mountain in Italy, so we all know that the Giro has been passing there a few times. So yeah, just by mentioning a climb, the people know, the Giro has passed here. Thomas de Gent won here, you know, things like that. So
well, Remco, I think our time is up. Thanks for taking the time to meet with me after your long day of morning training and afternoon interviews. It's been very interesting to hear about your background and your rapid popularity within the sport, turning professional directly out of the junior ranks and into the top of the cycling world and one of the leading figures within the sport. So thank you again for the time. But before we finish 100%, I wanted to ask you if you have seen the Maglia Rosa for the 2023 edition of the Giro d'Italia.
Yeah, it's going from like, let's say, light to dark pink, no?
Well, kind of a gradient from pink to into white. Well, let me just show it to you here. I got it here on my computer.